Well, as we do each and every week at this time, let's check in with William Kelly. He is a reporter out of Chicago. He joins us now. William, you've got a video that's circulating on social media that really kind of highlights the fact that Brandon Johnson hasn't taken many questions from the media as of late, instead deciding to put out short little social media videos of sorts. Thanks for taking time with us this morning. William J. Kelly, talk about that video presentation you put together. Good morning.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, Greg. God bless you. Mayor Do Nothing Johnson, I guess, is really the headline here. When he was asked, I guess over a month ago, what his plan was to keep Chicagoans safe this summer, he said, give me money. Show me money. Give me more money. First, give me the money. He didn't have a plan, and he seems to be proud of the fact that he doesn't have a plan. He's not addressing the issues that matter to real Chicagoans. As a lifelong Chicagoan, I can tell you, clean, safe streets. That is the basics right there, okay? And if you can fill a pothole or two along the way, that would be a bonus. He's not doing any of those things. Instead, he releases a video welcoming Beyonce to Chicago, which would be fine if he was doing that in conjunction with the other basic services that the mayor and the city should be providing the law-abiding citizens.
So when it comes to what you've seen in the previous administration out of Chicago with Lori Lightfoot, she held somewhat kind of regular news conferences. You were a part of a lot of those until you were prohibited by having your press credentials revoked. Definitely want to get an update on where we're at with that. But compare Lightfoot to Johnson so far. Is there any comparison as far as access to the media, especially considering at one point Lightfoot said she was only going to grant access to people of color for one-on-one interviews? Have you seen a similarity or a complete contrast?
Well, definitely a complete contrast. Mayor Lori Lightfoot thought that she was going to improve her chances of re-election by debating with me. I would go to the press conference to ask my two questions because that was her protocol. You could ask a question and a follow-up if warranted. And instead of answering my questions, as you know, and people, if they've never seen it, it is unusual to say the least. You could go to reporterwilliamjkelly.com and scroll down more confrontation videos with Lori Lightfoot than I could have ever imagined she would engage in. But she thought it was going to help her reelection campaign until she saw the numbers and she realized, no, this is not helping. Or somebody got to her and said, look, this, telling William Kelly that crime is down and that he's stupid for even asking about 80 shootings a weekend is not a good reelection campaign strategy. So she yanked my media credential. Well, we're still in federal court, even though Lightfoot's gone and we have a new Mayor Johnson. My Chicago media credential, so I can go to City Hall press conferences, is still in federal court. Greg, you can't make this stuff up. And we will be, our next court date is August 2nd. It's a classic First Amendment case. This is the first court date since Mayor Johnson has been elected mayor. Our hope is that the Corporation Council will say, okay, look, new mayor, fresh start, Kelly gets his media credential back. If not, we have to add Mayor Johnson's name to the lawsuit and sue and continue on with a federal First Amendment lawsuit. Greg, as if we don't have enough problems, right?
Well, and I was going to ask too, when it comes to the issue of, the costs here, it's not cheap to go to court. If the Johnson administration says, hey, we're going to go ahead and give you your press credentials back, what does that mean for the costs that you've incurred to file this litigation?
Well, thank you for asking, Greg. You would think that in the United States of America, the First Amendment wouldn't even be a question. The reason why this is so scary and so dangerous is because if you've read George Orwell, if you've read, if you've read the Founding Fathers, you know that the first they come after in every society that has ever gone totalitarian, first they go after freedom of speech, and then once they've censored reporters, once they've prevented people from even thinking the thoughts that they used to take for granted, then that's when they can take your freedom away from you. Don't think it couldn't happen here. I believe that we need to win this lawsuit because, as anyone should know in this country by now, there's something called legal precedent. And if they succeed in stripping me of my First Amendment rights in the city of Chicago, I'm telling you, Greg, I don't have to tell you, you know this, they'll go after every reporter, every radio host, every platform where you have even one voice asking even one question that is not approved. And I remember growing up, going to school, hearing teachers, liberal teachers, by the way, saying that the First Amendment was everyone's right, that we had to respect people's opinions, that questioning authority was a good thing, and here we are now, believe it or not, in the greatest democracy on planet Earth, and I have to go to a federal court on August 2nd to see if I can get my media credential back.
Talking with William J. Kelly, reporter out of Chicago. William, something else that you've touched on in Chicago, and I'd love to hear what you're hearing on the ground there about no cash bail after the Illinois Supreme Court last week upheld the law, giving a September 18th date for counties across the state to implement no cash bail. What are you hearing on the streets?
Greg, the violent crime in Chicago is spiraling out of control. Last night in Streeterville, downtown Chicago, 2 women were stabbed by an offender, and this was at 8:30 in the evening, leaving a wedding party, apparently, and I will drill down on the details a little bit more today. If you want to find out more, reporterwilliamjkelly.com is the place to go, or William J. Kelly on Twitter. But what happened was there was a large altercation that spilled over into, from what I'm hearing, a wedding party, and a repeat offender, someone who was known to the police, took a broken bottle and attacked 2 women who are now in the hospital with lacerations to their arms and face, obvious defense wounds. These were not aggressors, obviously. So, we need to report on these stories, Greg, because at best they're one-day stories. At worst, they become something, people get no justice. There are multiple examples of people who were the victims of violent crime, repeat violent offenders, people with long violent felonies on their records, who were then charged as co-combatants, so that the Cook County State's Attorney, from what I'm told from people in the State's Attorney's office and in the police, could just say, co-combatants, and then not charge anyone. This is the way that, sadly, one of the many ways that has been used to try and minimize violent crime in Chicago, to just simply say, they were co-combatants. No, I don't think that a repeat violent offender attacking a purely innocent tourist it qualifies as a co-combatant situation.
Well, William J. Kelly will definitely be watching close as to what happens, and appreciate you jumping on with us each and every week to give us a ground level view of what's going on in Chicago. And we'll definitely be touching base about your court hearing next month and how that ultimately goes. So greatly appreciate you taking the time with us as always, William J. Kelly. Be safe out there, all right?
You too. Thank you. God bless.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Follow me anywhere, Bishop on Air, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we can connect that.